Okay, so as I promised, I wanted to go through some past participles with you. You'll see the headline here is past participles used as adjectives. We're not doing that, but down the road when we want to learn these as adjectives, it is the same idea. We just have agreement. So, but I want to focus on just the forming of the participle. And I mentioned this at the end of my last video, but you are going to add ado when you have an AR verb, your stem, you get rid of your AR, ER, and IR verb, and you're left with your stem. Then you will add the ado and the ido and the ido. Again, ER and IR have the same ending with ido, IDO. But normally to get your stem, you just drop your AR, ER, and IR, and then that's still what we're doing here. And then when it comes to any kind of stem changing verb, we will not stem change. So if you have a verb like jugar, normally it stem changes. But here in the participle, we won't stem change. By default, we will not stem change. There are going to be irregulars, but we won't stem change a typical stem changing verb. Like jugar is going to be jugado, Jugado. Perder is going to be perdido, Perdido. Pedir is going to be pedido, Pedido. So no stem changing here. When it comes to carcar, we're not going to have spell changing either because we've got a, we're going to add the ADO, just like we have with an AR after it, our sound is going to be preserved. And the same thing happens with that, with the IDO ending. If you already have an ER or an IR ending, there's not going to be any kind of combination that makes us have to spell change. But here we will have some spell changers with extra accent marks. So we had a verb in the other lesson with, I think it was leído. Leído had an accent mark on it, and I said we'd get to it. Here it is. So these verbs, you've seen them linked together before. What it is we have a vowel sound at the end of an ER and IR verb. So when we have a vowel sound before ido, we will have, we would have a blend of the two vowel sounds together without an accent mark. We need the accent mark to separate the vowel sounds. These two would, form, a diphthong or diphthongo. This is a, this would be without the accent mark, caído. But we want to say caído. We want to hear the ido in there, so we put an accent mark on there. Same thing here. This would be creído without the accent mark. So we put the accent mark in there to make sure that we have a separation of the vowel sounds. Creído, leído, oído, creído, sonreído, traído. Now, we've had these before, this group, caer, creer, leer, oír, and traer was left out. When we learned these in the preterite, these are the ones that had extra accent marks in them and then had a Y in the third person. But traer didn't belong there because of, it's actually a morphing verb. But it's back. It's with this group again, and it makes sense for it to be there because it ends with that vowel sound before ido is added to it. And then here are some other common irregular past participles. And you can see just going to take some time to memorize these, but it's going to be worth it. Abierto is the past participle of abrir for pretérito perfecto, for the pretérito perfecto de subjuntivo, for the pluscuamperfecto de subjuntivo, futuro perfecto, condicional perfecto. This is, we're going to see abierto over and over again. This is the same, and it's for every subject. Remember, we're going to yo, tú, él, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, y ustedes. They're going to be the same form, abierto, with all those. So if you're to conjugate these all out in your 6 different verb chart, your 6 different spots for your verb conjugations, you would see the word abierto in there 6 times. And then we would also use this several times over with different conjugations. We just change our conjugation of haber. So that's kind of the deal with each of these. It seems a lot to memorize it up front, but it really pays off because once you know it here, you'll know it for all the other possibilities that we can use the perfects. So the perfect tenses are great. They're a really good way to kind of have another option whenever you want to, maybe you're going to try to use a verb on your paper 1 and you want to conjugate it in the past tense and you're not sure, you kind of are starting to second guess yourself about, is this a stem changing verb in the preterite? Is it a morphing verb in the preterite? And then, well, you know what? We have another option here. Sometimes it might be a good replacement. Sometimes it might not be as good, but it's another option that we have. If I want to say abrir in the preterite, and I'm blanking on how do I do the, if I want to say, they've opened, or they opened, abrieron, I want to say it's abrieron, it is, but I'm not sure about that. So I can, instead of saying they opened the store, abrieron la tienda, I can replace that and say they have opened the store, which more or less gives off the same meaning, han abierto la tienda. So that's where this can come in handy. It's another way to do some of the things we already know how to do, just in a real subtle difference. So you're not really going to lose meaning when you use it. It's another way to kind of flex your Spanish knowledge when you're writing your papers, because this is another example of some advanced grammar. All right, so I guess I should just go through these real quick. Decir es dicho, describir, descrito, which if you skip down here, you can see escrito is escribir, so describir with a D in front of it, descrito, same deal. Descubierto, and cubrir is actually not on here, but cubrir would be just cubierto, covered. Discovered, descubierto, covered, cubierto, with cubrir, without the DES in front of it. Hacer, hecho, and anything with a prefix in front of it. If it were rehacer, rehecho, deshacer, deshecho, morir, muerto, poner, puesto, oponer, opuesto, resolver, resuelto, romper, roto, ver, visto, real common one there. Volver, vuelto, devolver, devuelto. But actually, one other one, I don't think it shows up here, is but bendecir or maldecir. They do have the word decir in there. So you might think that's bendicho or maldicho. It's actually not. Those are irregular, but they're different, and they're not listed here, but it's bendecir would be bendito and maldecir, maldito. So kind of it's the only exception I can think of offhand right now where you have a principal verb there of decir, and you have a prefix in front of it, and it doesn't keep the same change like we do here with, like I was mentioning with volver, volver, vuelto, devolver, with the DE prefix in front of it, devuelto. So it's kind of a weird one that it's not dicho, in that when you add a prefix to decir here, it doesn't keep that for some reason in this form. All right, so these adjectives, or sorry, these participles can also be used as adjectives, as you see here. Again, it's not how we're focusing on it right now, but down the road, not only is this going to going to come in handy for all of your different perfect tenses, it's also going to come in handy for being, this is the masculine singular adjective form of each of these words. All right, so until the next video, hasta luego.